more than 30 years, the Ferrari Challenge has been taking Ferrari's racing clients to the track in series all around the world, and we are delighted that they're a part of the Shannon Speed Series offering in 2025. Cars are gridded up for the second race of the weekend here at the island, and some very special guests getting the chance to wander around and have a little look at them closely. We've had a change in the commentary box here. Renato Liberto joins us for the coverage of this one. We'll get to some news in the pit lane in a moment. Final one for the weekend, and there's a bit to play out here, isn't there? Welcome.
Thanks, Rusty. Yeah, there is a little bit going on, and we'll kind of touch on that in more detail, but probably the biggest story is our pole man, Antoine Gatani. He's going to be starting from pit lane for this race. Okay, we'll have a bit more on that in a moment. Why don't we go down there and soak up a bit of the atmosphere that we're enjoying here at Phillip Island, and say a big g'day, a good afternoon to Thomas Randall.
Yeah, good afternoon, Rusty. Yeah, the atmosphere here is electric. Great to be on the starting grid here for the second of the two Ferrari Challenge Australasia races. Now, I'm here with what's meant to be our pole setter and race one winner from yesterday. However, you're actually not going to be starting from here. You're going to be starting from pit lane. So tell us about that. What's happened, Antoine?
The tyres, when I spun out, are shredded. So part of the rules and regs, if you put new tyres, you have to start from pits. So I'm on a set of green tyres, which is going to be difficult, but they call it a challenge for a reason, so the challenge is on.
Yeah, now it's going to be obviously, like you said, a challenge from pit lane. So when the 1 minute board comes out, you'll be taking off, starting from pit lane, and I guess you'll be hopefully getting some passing practice in and try and maybe get back up to the front. What's the game plan?
I'll do my best. I'll try to do a Verstappen and get back on top.
Well, I'm glad that's your inspiration. All the best, good luck, and we hope you have a good result.
All right, I'm joined alongside Cameron Campbell now. Cam qualified in second this morning, but now you've been elevated to pole position. How much of a boost is that?
It's a huge boost. He's very quick, so to have him at the back of the grid is going to be very helpful.
So what's it going to take to get your first win of the season here?
Don't make any mistakes. It's all the coaches are saying. Don't make a mistake. Just run your race. Run your race.
And I believe this is your first time racing at Phillip Island this weekend. What's been your impressions of this track?
Oh, I think it's a beautiful track, right? It's fast, it's technical. Look at the view, and it looks great on TV too. I think it's a world-class facility and really enjoying it.
Where have you found most challenging around here?
Oh, probably corner two, definitely. And coming into one's quick. So you've got to have a bit of courage going in, I think.
And it's the first season we've had this category in Australia, the Ferrari Challenge. You actually raced one race in this series equivalent in Europe. So how does this compare?
I mean, it's a smaller field, but I think a beautiful tracks. It'd be nice to see some of the European guys come over and experience these tracks and bolster their field a little bit. It'd be really good.
Well, thank you so much for your time and good luck.
Cheers. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Thanks, Cam.
So I'm down here with Enzo Cheng, who is our third place outright sitter, pole position in the copper shell class, and you're now leading the championship in that class. So you know the pole sitter here is actually going to be starting from pit lane, and you're going to have clear air. So how's that going to change the game for you at the start of this one?
Obviously it's quite advantageous, you know. I can really sit on sort of the rear quarter of Cam, who's in P2. And, you know, hopefully if I get a good jump on Cam, it'll, you know, there's a big gap there for me to slot right in.
Now, how have you found driving these Ferrari 296 Challenge cars around here?
Oh, awesome. I mean, they're just so fast. They've got huge power and grip as well. And through some of the quicker corners, like, you know, turn 1, turn 3, turn 8, turn 12, it's just an awesome experience.
Now, do you think you can mix it maybe with Cam Campbell later on in this race?
You know, that's the plan. We'll see how we start. And, you know, I just got to keep mindful that I've got my own class to worry about. And it's a risk versus reward thing. But towards the end, we'll see. You know, it would be nice to, you know, this is probably the one opportunity I've got to try and win outright. So we'll see.
Awesome. Well, we'll head back to Rusty. What have you got for us?
Thomas, thank you. Yeah, we're just contemplating a few things in relation to the final race of the weekend here with Renato Liberto, but it just how magic do those 296 Challenge cars look. First 6-cylinder Ferrari to take to the track in the series, twin turbo. And they produce around about 700 horsepower, don't they? So beautiful machine. And there's a couple of 488s in the field too, some of the older generation cars. Let's go back to the grid now, back to Bella.
Yes, I'm joined alongside David Troy, and we just heard from Enzo Cheng. These two are in a battle in our copper shell division. And what do you need to do to get on top today?
I've got to get a good start because Masahiro next to me is very good at defending. Then I can chase down Enzo, so we'll give it a go.
How have you found the racing here this weekend so far?
Oh, super fun. I mean, I was pretty daunted by this track, but been having a great time. It's these cars are amazing. They're just like giant go-karts.
And what do you love being a part of this Ferrari series, new to Australia, new to the Speed Series this year?
We've got a great community. Hopefully it stays that way at the end of today.
Well, thanks for your time and good luck.
Thanks a lot.
So I'm here with Jim Pollicina. So you finished third across the line yesterday. Unfortunately got that 5-second penalty for that contact down at turn 2. Now, you're just going to have Cam Campbell in front of you. You've obviously got Enzo Cheng next to you off the start. Antoine has to start from pit lane. So how are you feeling about the start of this one today?
Look, we'll play it by ear a little bit. There's obviously a gap where one should be. So we'll see how these guys take off. The easy plan would be to try and sneak in the front and put some gap between people. Anton will come through the field, so just trying to get as much gap as possible.
Yeah, and what do you think's been the most challenging thing with these cars around here adapting to this Ferrari 296 car?
Yeah, look, coming from a TCM and a supercar background, we're not used to having aero, so that's probably been the biggest challenge, being able to keep the mid-corner speed going.
Well, we wish you all the best for this one, Jim. Hope you have a great race. Cars are starting up here, guys, so we'll head back to you, Rusty.
Tom, thank you. So Jim Pollicina is actually second in the championship now on 26 points. Antoine Gatani on top with 51 after a near perfect outing at Mount Panorama Bathurst, and given the result that he had here yesterday, both in qualifying and in race trim. But Renato, worth just sort of recapping what we've covered a little bit there in some of those interviews on the grid. We are going to have a very significant player in this championship starting from pit lane, has opted, quite rightly, for new tyres, given the damage that he suffered when he spun the car on what looked like a very good lap in our second qualifying session this morning.
That's right, Rusty. And for the viewers, it's worth commenting on the tyre situation. So where this has come from is we have one set of tyres for qualifying 1, race 1, one set of tyres for qualifying 2 and race 2 today. In qualifying, Antoine had that big spin we saw at the final turn, flat spotting those tyres, requiring him to change them. But the penalty for that is starting in pit lane. So whilst he is here for the grid walk, on this very soon, they'll be released and moving around the circuit into pit lane. But joining him also, car 1 from last year, Mark Hutters. Mark's got the same thing. He had that spin we saw over Lukey Heights. He also requires a set of tyres on the car. He's also starting in pit lane into that second position from pit lane, but also Tony Balden, who had that incident at turn 4 yesterday, he also has the same penalty applied from that race yesterday, carrying over today. So 3 cars will be leaving the grid shortly to start from pit lane.
Rest of the field will stay in their grid positions, so great work by the officials here. You can see the Richard Mille 296 Ferrari at the front of the field, our official safety car for the class as well. Now, what's it like to drive these machines, I can hear you say? Well, check this out as we go for a ride with Antoine Gatani at Phillip Island. I'd give you a chance there to soak up turns 1 and 2. So 280 k's an hour on the approach, 220 when they go through 1 here. Just walk us through as we come down to Miller Corner here. Nearly 260 k's an hour before he applies the brakes, and you can hear it at absolutely at the maximum point of braking there.
And Rusty, that's that ABS we spoke about, so you can hear him really leaning on the ABS, maximising the braking potential, over 2G of braking coming into turn 4 there. Huge amount of pace coming out through Haysheds here. Really, the aero really starting to activate now as they tip in here. Nearly 800 kilos of downforce on the car. That floor working incredibly well. And then coming up here over Lukey as well. Really trying to make the front end work, carry some speed in. You can see it push a little bit on the steering wheel there. But then as it gets up over that 160, it really, really starts to hug the road.
You can catch moments where you hear the twin turbo sound of this engine. Tyres protesting a little bit. He's asking a lot of these beautiful Pirelli control tyres. Into the final corner now. 5th gear, 220 k's an hour.
And talking to Antoine on that quali lap where the car let go, we saw in data 7 kilometres an hour increase. As he tipped in, the wind picked up 7 k's of rotation on the car, forcing that spin that we saw. So 7 k's was enough at 220 k's an hour to trigger that spin.
Okay, so the 3 cars that that Renato's been talking about that will start from the pit lane have been released from their position on the grid, so just so they could be there, understandably, for our grid walk, and they'll head around to back to pit lane. Highlights for you here of the second qualifying session, held under clear skies this morning. Cool, blustery conditions about the place. We heard from Enzo Cheng on the grid there before. He's got a really level-headed approach to this. So Coppershell is very much the focus, but he finds himself in a good position from an outright championship perspective.
But I think his words on the grid there as well.
Sage,
I've got my own championship to worry about, but it's my only chance of an outright win, I think, this year. So he's obviously got that carrot dangling in front of him at the moment.
Cam Campbell put together a very good qualifying session and would ultimately park his car with 10 minutes remaining. Antoine Gatani would grab the pole position in the 22, but it wasn't without incident. This looked like being, until this moment, a faster, a better lap that may have nudged into the 1:28. He got pole with the low 29 in the end, but that unfortunately brought the good work undone. Now, this was the other incident, and when it ultimately comes to a stop, it just gingerly kisses the tyre wall. But the pole position would stay with the 22, but now he's on the back foot for the race, and we'll look forward to seeing how he comes through. Here is the Phillip Island Grand Prix layout. It offers so much, doesn't it, across its 12 turns and more than 4 kilometres of asphalt.
It is the perfect place, Rusty, for these cars. High aerodynamics, high horsepower. They're an absolute dream to drive around here, but also, as they've said today, the weather's fantastic. Thank you, Phillip Island. And
for playing ball.
Exactly.
Yes.
And the scenery here is just remarkable. So all of our team from Italy, the AF Course guys, absolutely love being here. They've seen it on MotoGP and on TV and on World Superbikes, but to bring Ferrari here is next level.
You've had a great roll-up too at the corporate suite up above pit lane, haven't you, over the weekend? Lots of guests that have come to enjoy it, even if they're not out there racing like our competitors here.
Lots of macchiatos, Rusty. There's a lot happening up there.
Okay, so Antoine Gatani was on top in qualifying, so this is how, in theory, they would have started the race. But we now change that, of course, in the wake of the tyre change for him, so he will start from the pit lane. That's a boost for Cameron Campbell. A great chance for him to maybe win the second race of the weekend. And Enzo Cheng is energised as well. Not just Coppershell to think about. Maybe he might be able to win this race. Jim Policina, successful businessman, has been around motor racing for quite some time. He's another worth watching in this race.
Absolutely. He was a real mover and shaker at Bathurst. He was a real mover and shaker yesterday. He's very, very experienced, and what he does possess is that racecraft. He's got pace, but he also is a wily old man in terms of the racecraft he's got there, and I expect him to be, again, he's also going to try and profit from this and try and make a bit of a gap and make it very, very wide for him to get Antoine to try and make a pass mid-race.
So the rest of the field heading around. Not long before we'll go racing. The third of the cars in the queue we saw there a moment ago is the repaired 111 of Tony Baildon, of course, a dedicated Ferrari client, I guess you could say. He's a graduate of Club Challenge. An interesting little thing about him among his collection of Ferraris, all of them are black. He likes we tend to think of scarlet red, don't we, in many respects with Ferrari. Rolling start about to happen here now. Enzo Cheng on the outside. Cam Campbell will lead the field, and we're going to have to watch very, very closely. Antoine Gatani in the 22, starting from the pit lane. One of the older gen 488s there. Very different engine note from those cars. Field bunched up nicely. Everyone doing the right thing here.
But they do need to leave that gap, so they do need to leave the gap, and Enzo's going to be looking to fill that gap very, very quickly as soon as the lights go out.
Got clear track in order to do it. Makes a very good start. How will it be viewed by race control? We're underway. Cam Campbell will lead the field, but Enzo Cheng's made a very, very good start here. Can't quite edge the nose in front. Campbell will lead them into turn one for the first time.
Brilliant start. Also great respect by both drivers there. Again, Enzo's probably playing with that level head we spoke about on the grid interview there. He realises if he's alongside, didn't have the move on, he's not going to push that. He knows he's got his own championship to worry about here. Letting Cameron take the lead. He can also tuck him behind him and just get a read of the track conditions as well.
Taguchi-san, I think they're just doing what he does so well, and that is to park that car in the middle of the track and make life for those chasing as difficult as possible. He's well within his rights to do that. It's up to the following car to execute the pass cleanly.
Exactly, and then when you've got someone experienced like Pollicino behind, he's going to be looking for that opportunity to try and get this done as quickly as possible. But again, you know, it's one-make racing in some ways. So 296 versus 296, they've got the same potential to work with, but he's just going to have to try and work his way through as efficiently as possible, because already that little battle we're seeing between Pollicino and Trawerne's up into P3 now. So Jim's still got some work to do to try and catch him back.
And the 277 of Jared Ferrari, the Barbagallo Ferrari, doing a tremendous job at the moment in 4th place, best of our 488 competitors. So
he's at
well
a mega
positioned.
start there.
He's had a great start there, well positioned at the moment. So Campbell leads them from Cheng. Trawerne in an excellent 3rd place too. We should make that point. We caught up with him on the grid there, but he's really done the job here at the start. But just need to watch on the progress of Gatani, Hudders and Baildon from the pit lane.
Nice little spread out here. So they do have a little bit of clean air edge to work with. Again, they're an aerodynamic car, so you don't want to get too close in some of the faster corners unless a move is on it. Will wash over dirty air over your car and make it a little less grippy, a little less stable in those corners. You can see here Pollicino having a look up the inside, almost a repeat of the incident we saw in turn 2, race 1 there. Jim pulling out, yielding, getting back in behind. I think there's probably a move on here down at turn 4. If Jim sets himself up right, he should better get this overtake done pretty well under brakes.
A little dab of the brakes there. Jim's wanting to get this done, but he wants to do it cleanly. So has a look down at Miller Corner and goes that fraction deeper and makes it work. He picks up a place. That's up into 5th now.
That little yield there of Jim, and that's at 250 k's an hour. He's had a tap of the brake there as he's tipped into turn 3. So managed to hold onto the car, keep his composure, and get that done nicely down at turn 4.
Let's have a little look at the replay here.
There we go, that nose tucking out into the clean air as well, obviously helping activate the front splitter and front aero to get that pass done nicely.
Now Gatani is in position 8 at the moment. So now our monitor is suggesting something may have happened to Cam Campbell. I just want to make sure there isn't a timing issue there before we jump on that, but it does look like the 23 is dropping down the order. Not quite sure why. It suggests that Enzo Cheng is the new race leader. So we perhaps have a story, it looks like, with the clear front straight. Enzo Cheng, our copper shell racer, is leading outright here at the moment. Something has happened to Cam Campbell. Trawerne up to 2nd, and Jared Ferrari in the 488 is now in 3rd place.
And worth noting, Gatani on his first flying lap, fastest lap so far, 1:32.3. So he's really fighting his way back into P6 outright at the moment.
We can hear the gusts of wind on our commentary box, the walls of our commentary box here at the moment. So I don't know whether that's been a factor for Cam Campbell, who seems to still be circulating, but has dropped right down to 9th place. So more in that story. Enzo Cheng, brilliant performance. He leads this race. You've got to be there when something goes wrong like that to capitalise. He may not only take out Copper Shell, he may win outright in the second one of the weekend
and
here.
That would be a fantastic result for him. He has kept a very level head in the first round. We see a big move there. That might have been Jared Ferrari there having a little tail waggle out of turn 6. The wind is, as you said, Rusty, the wind is intense here. Our commentary box is located just on the infield of, say, turn 1, on the approach to turn 1. So if it's this gusty here, Rusty, it's the same down at turn 3, same down at turn 1. There is a lot of gravel, though, on the road here.
Yeah,
so
no, I wonder if that's where it's happened. In the meantime, Antoine Gatani is lighting up the timing monitor. Now, we're keeping an eye on Masahiro Taguchi there, that yellow Ferrari coming through. He's in 6th place. Gatani, we believe, is ahead there now. So just double check that it looks like the 22 is already through. So he is flying, not just in lap time terms, but in the way that he's been able to claw his way up the order from the pit lane. This is impressive.
That's an amazing first couple of laps there from Antoine. What he's got to do now, though, is he's on a fresher tyre. We know that he's started on a brand new set of tyres, but not work them too hard. He's not going to have that heat cycle through them to bleed them down.
There he is. So he's ahead of Taguchi. The 22, our pole sitter, but started from the pit lane, though, with that tyre change, is up in 5th place already.
And he's got considerable pace. He's half a second quicker than Enzo Cheng in the first sector on their best individual sectors at the moment. So he's clearly got the pace he's had in qualifying 2 this morning. on the rest of the field. But again, it's the efficiency of getting past these cars. The further he goes up the grid, we spoke about this after qualifying, the further you move through the field, Antoine, the harder it's going to be to overtake, because the cars are going to be quicker and they're going to be less likely to want to hand over championship points to you. So
and clearing someone like a Policina isn't an easy mission to get done. So, but anyway, we'll continue to watch his progress here. The lap times, the speed of the car is pretty reasonable despite the impact of the blustery conditions early in this race. 20 minutes remain in the second one of the weekend for Ferrari Challenge Australasia. Started at Mount Panorama Bathurst. Antoine Gatani virtually cleaning the weekend there. With the exception of 1 point, he got the near perfect score emerging from round one. And they go, what about that? From the mountain to Phillip Island, 2 iconic tracks to go racing on, and he's now starting to put pressure as they go down into one.
Enzo's just done his personal best lap for this race as well, 32.9, but then Gatani, coming through to 31.2, so still pulling over a second a lap out of this pack that we're seeing in front here. But there is their own little battle happening, so he's going to, he's an unwelcome guest to the party in the next couple of corners, I think.
Well, and it's a little something for Jim Policina to keep an eye on. He is placing his car cleverly. He's not doing things that are too risky, but Jim knows, and I'm sure he's being told from the lane, that Antoine Gatani is closing. So the 7 needs to get by the 488 of Jared Ferrari as quickly as he possibly can. Antoine Gatani has just gone fastest again in the first sector. He is nearly on the tail here of Jim Policina, having started from the lane.
And now it's the challenge of where do you want to make this manoeuvre work. We've still got 19 minutes of racing left here, so plenty of time. He is on newer tyres. He's got to remember that. He's always going to have an advantage here to attack when the others may not. So it's really going to be a case of finding the best possible position to get the most efficient overtake done without losing any further time.
Hasn't been 488. He's had to sort of gingerly look for opportunity, but he's not been able to do it. Now Gatani arrives on the scene. And this lap may be the best one we've seen so far. He's already down into the 1 minute 31s, but in theory, this lap should be even faster.
And on the standings, Copper Shell, P1 and 2 outright. Trofeo preferably 488 with Jared Ferrari there. Exceptional drive being P3 outright at the moment. What a great drive.
Brilliant. So Enzo Cheng has a 1.29 second lead.
That's Ryan Lewis from Ferrari Australasia there, just trimming his fingernails in anticipation.
Looking a little nervous. Gave us a tour on Friday and had a good look around the cars, which is terrific. So here we go. So move finally is made. And Jim gets the number 7 through. That's up into 3rd place now.
And Jared's got quite a healthy margin there between him and the other 488, Micho Stefan, in P7. So if I was Jared, I'd be kind of trying to just open the door and let Antoine through. The less time he can lose to Micho, the better from his overall standings as well.
Trawerne's been rock solid here too. He keeps putting personal best sectors together. He hasn't worried about what's going on behind him, or in fact Enzo Cheng ahead of him. He's kept that gap to Enzo Cheng pretty status quo, hasn't he? Nice drive.
Absolutely, and you actually could see then the headlights flashing of Antoine as well. A little bit of a, hey, can you let me through, please? I'm in
a hurry.
The champ is here. But look, it's, I hope for both their sake they don't lose too much time with this battle, because there's different battles that are going to play out over the next 17 minutes. And we want to try and hopefully, get a little battle pack happening here towards the front.
Here comes Jim. Has a look, Jim Policina, but not quite able to clear David Trawerne on the left-hand side of the track. So you know what? Let's change options. Let's go to the other side, and he'll get it done down into turn 1. 280 kilometres an hour, thank you very much. And Jim Policina up into 2nd place.
That was all quite civil, wasn't it?
Wasn't it?
But again, now we've got Jared Ferrari now attacking the back of David Trawerne. So I do wonder if we're starting to see at this point a little bit of that tyre management from quali. We've got some of these guys here in this mix that have done a lot more laps on their tyres in qualifying than others. So.
Oh, Antoine Gatani has a little look, but he can't get by Jared Ferrari easily enough. 260 k's an hour at Stoner Corner, and they then hard under brakes for Miller Corner here, turn 4. but he's not been able to do it. That 488 is still a very, very cool machine, but very handy around the island as well.
That's right, Rusty. It's still a very, very fast car, but it does have a smaller tyre on it overall than the 296 and less aerodynamic. So it will start to fatigue that tyre a little bit earlier than what we're seeing with the 296 cars. But watching this battle unfold here, you know, it is helping Enzo. He's in clear air. They've got no cars for overtaking at the moment. He can just get into a rhythm and conserve his tyres so that he's got a little bit more under his belt at the end to attack as well.
Update from the pit lane. Here's Tom.
Yeah, thanks, Rusty. Just down here, I'm actually at turn 12, and I've got to say it's an incredible sight seeing how fast these Ferrari Challenge cars are off the final corner. And yesterday they were reaching speeds of nearly 280 kilometres an hour. So with a tailwind, they're going to be very fast into turn one. But just an update from the Zagami team. They're actually not sure what happened to Cam Campbell. He didn't report anything on the radio, so they think he might have just had an off, and that's why he's plummeted down into, well, currently 8th position. But fantastic for Enzo Cheng, the leader of Copper Shell, and leading outright. What a start for him there as well.
Yeah, and he's got 1.1 seconds. He's kind of tried to minimise the damage, but it does look like Pollicina is getting closer now, based on that shot in the background here. The 22 of Antoine Gatani is ahead of Jared Ferrari now, and his next target is David Trewern as they come down to turn 4. Switches the approach, can't quite get it done there.
And these cars are left-hand drive as well, so blindsided a little bit on that manoeuvre. You could see Anton probably just sticking the nose in to have a look himself at what sort of was available to him there. But David's got a cracking pace in this race. He's really got on with it and built himself a nice little buffer to the cars behind now.
Pollicina under a second now to Enzo Cheng. So just need to watch that. Meantime, Antoine Gatani with the fastest lap of the race, and he looks like edging into the 30s. The best we've seen so far is a 1 minute 31.23. A little bit hard in the middle part of the lap, but he gets by David Trewern now and up into 3rd place.
A little bit of pressure he just kept applying there for half a lap. Obviously, David probably watching we don't have a mirror, but we have a camera in the car. Fastest lap by Antoine as well, 1:31.235. So as you said, Rusty, a little bit off the qualifying pace we've seen, but this track is evolving over the course of this race.
Here comes Jim Pollicina, steps out of the draft of Enzo Cheng, who's done a superb job. Meantime, behind him, Gatani goes new fastest lap, 1:38.9. How about Cheng, unfazed by the arrival of Pollicina, and now Gatani on the scene. He's driving superbly here.
Yeah, it's a great job he's doing, and that's a lot of pressure. You know, Jim is a very, very seasoned racer here. Antoine, obviously, you know, previous race winner the first 2 rounds here, so there's a lot of pressure coming on board, but he's driving exceptionally well and keeping a very, very cool head about it.
Now, there are some noted driver coaches in the pit lane who've all got experience in different race cars, the likes of Josh Buchan, for example, who's been a 2-time TCR Australia champion, and there are others. They will be as nervous as these competitors right now.
I can't tell you, Rusty, we've got Ben Porter coaching Enzo Cheng, Jim Pollicina, and Antoine Gatani.
Okay, well, we'll send a, what would they have called it back in the day, a Bex. He can have a Bex.
Yeah, I think he'd be juggling 3 radios at the moment, not sure who to talk to and what to say. But it's a great result for him, and from a coaching point of view this weekend to have his 3 drivers punching so far up the order.
Enzo Cheng continues to lead this race down into MG corner. Now,
place that car with perfection then as well to kind of shut the door on both sides to avoid that.
Gatani.
Open the door for Gatani to come up the inside of Pollicina. This is, again, we've seen this before. This is a quick section of the track here.
Brave Jim holds on to it through the final corner, which, as you saw with the onboard lap before, is 220 plus kilometres an hour. And Pollicina was not about to relinquish the place and give it to Gatani. He's held on to it. Nice piece of driving by Jim Pollicina.
Yeah, that was great, but good respect between all the drivers as well, giving each other space there. But again, you know, Antoine, that just comes down to the racecraft we were talking about. Jim knew where to place the car. He got himself a healthy little margin back then by slowing Antoine at the right sort of phase of the corner. So yeah, some very clever driving there by Jim, and I'm sure Antoine's probably learned from that the once, and he won't let it happen again.
12 minutes remain. Can Enzo Cheng hang on for an outright win, and at the same time just needs to keep in mind that he's, in an amateur perspective, what we call copper shell when it comes to Ferrari Challenge competition. He leads that class, that division, if you will. So he doesn't want to get caught in any battle here between Pollicina and Gatani, but at the same time, that's a huge carrot, to use your term before, the chance to maybe score an outright win here. Huge motivation for him.
And also for Antoine, you know, there is a point here for fastest lap in the class. So Antoine can possibly not take as big a risk on the overtakes, but still get that point for fastest lap, which he currently holds at a 1:30.8. It's getting busy.
Smart from Enzo Cheng. He placed the car in such a spot over Lukey Heights and down into MG that it made Pollicina's attempt to hurl the car down the inside too difficult. Jim braked the car very well. Nice, fair play on. They continue. Gatani's not been able to get close enough that time through the final corner. So the three of them line astern in the blustery wind down into turn one. Off of Gardner straight into Doohan corner, and Cheng continues to lead.
And that would be quick down there, you know, particularly for Antoine. They're on the back of a three-car train. You know, they are a highly aerodynamic car with a big rear wing, so they punch a big hole in the air. And with this potentially headwind that's coming there, he would have had a nice toe to close up. But again, you've got to get the job done because it is a 240k/h corner.
In terms of the 488 class, they're 5th and 6th respectively at the moment. But it is Jared Ferrari who leads that one, and that's a very solid drive in 5th place at present.
I did see Jared before when he was having this tussle up in P3 outright. He was working his tyres very hard though. And what we've seen now is Micho's working forward and Jared sort of resettled down the order. So we might have a little battle going on here for the 488 class towards the end of this race. Micho with fresher tyres.
10 minutes to go in this one now. Gatani, he's just pondering where to do this. They come down to MG corner. Again, the 7 keeps it perfectly placed, and while he's fighting, trying to fend off Gatani, it's given Cheng maybe a car length, half a car length, just a tiny bit of breathing space. That's working for Enzo Cheng right now.
They're really kind of, I think Antoine's probably in a holding position here. I did have a chat to him before this race about the rear of grid start.
Traffic, bit of traffic here.
Yeah, traffic here with Tony Belden. Done a good job letting the leaders sort of carry on. But Antoine was sort of talking about if he can catch back up towards the front, you know, how he's going to manage the tyres because he's been pushing hard up to that point. The advantage he has had may not be so great now that the race is carrying on, and he's spent a couple of laps now behind these guys.
Now, Renato mentioned about Ben Porter before. Spare a thought for him. Not sure if he's got any fingernails left. Let's go to Tom on that story.
Yeah, thanks, Rusty. I don't think he's got many fingernails left, indeed. Now, Ben, a gun driver in his own right. You're driver coaching not only Enzo Cheng with the top 3. Now, how many wheat bix did Enzo have this morning? Because he's just fired out like a rocket.
Yeah, absolutely. He's super motivated. He's got clean air in front of him, so we just said, head down and run, mate, head down and run.
I heard Joel Fair say he needs to get the flashes going to get the lap traffic out of the way. Now, because you're running the top 3 cars, is there any team orders, or are you a bit nervous seeing these 3 race against each other pretty closely?
Well, I'm trying to be impartial, and you know, I'm a little bit torn as well because you know, I'm just hoping to see a good result from all 3, to be perfectly honest.
Is there any specific one of the 3 that you'd prefer to see win the race, or is it even Stevens between the 3?
No, look, to be honest, sorry, I'm a little bit distracted because I'm watching the 3 come over the hill at the moment. But anyone who gets to the front deserves it. You know, right now they're only covered by a few tenths of a second, and they're racing hard. But the 3 of them are clean races. You know, the best man will come out on top.
Yeah, we look forward to seeing the end. And that's the update down here. Thanks, Rusty.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, what caught our attention, and clearly caught Ben's attention as well, was the attempt by Antoine Gatani at MG corner and coming out of there to get by Jim Pollicina. I'm certain that 2 wheels were in the grass, or at least on the curbing. He had a real dip there, but it didn't come off on that occasion.
And Rusty, I was having flashbacks from quali when we had the interview with Ben on pit wall, and that's when Antoine spun the car. So
here we go. So watch this. Gatani's opted for a different line. Pollicina is shallow in the 7, but then the 22 goes wide here. Little bit of grass. Oh.
Yeah. Well, on the line is in, Rusty, as they say, the track limits. So he's definitely having a look.
He's got him, though. He's clean. As we've come out of that replay, sorry, Renato, to talk over you there. While we were watching that replay, he's clearly got by Jim Pollicina. So he's been assessing, watching the 7 for a little while now.
Here we have it.
So here's the move.
run down into turn 4. 260k an hour approach down to third gear. He's
on the outside.
Outside of Pollicina as well. I don't think he would have expected that to come, but he's got the job done on the way into turn 6 here. Great move.
And then held it, didn't he? So that sets you up by the time you get to Siberia, if you can go side by side or, you know, keep the nose in front. He's been able to do that. The next target, having started from pit lane, is to try and get by Enzo Cheng. Now, Cheng, if you were to talk about executing everything you're taught to do, he has done that so far in this race. Gatani looks down the inside. Cheng defends 220 k's an hour and holds on to the spot. This is a great drive. Remember, he's in the copper shell class, but he's driving with the kind of smarts of the pros. This is a great performance.
Absolutely. You could actually see, as he came through turn 1 to 2 there, you could actually see him tilting his head, looking at his left-hand wing mirror to get a bit of an eyesight of where Antoine was to kind of cover off that run into to turn 2. So he's really,
Gatani.
He's starting to drive really defensive now. You know, he knows the champ's behind him. I don't know who Ben's talking to at this point to try and play this out. I don't know how that quite works, but
you wouldn't want to bump the wrong button, would you? So on the radio. So anyway, I mean, he's again, you can just see the attitude from Gatani's car. So that's kind of maybe a little frustration, because he knows that if he can clear him, if he can get by him, he feels in his own mind that he's got the quicker car beneath him. But Cheng is doing all the right things. So the difficulty is where can he do it? When does he do it?
And I think the opportunity around this track in a high downforce car like this is the slower corners. You know, the faster corners are pretty much one line. If that car is on that one line, it's very hard to go around them or under them at the high speed stuff. So it's going to be, for me, it's turn 4 over Lukey Heights. He's got to try and set this move up.
Do you have to be careful, say through the final corner like this, getting too close under that rear wing and maybe getting unsettled if you come through that final corner? You just got to place it in the right spot at the right time, don't you?
That's right, yeah. These cars also have the big rear wing. They have a big floor on the car, big underbody and a big front splitter. So there's a lot of front aerodynamics at play here. And that balance does shift very, very rapidly if you get in the dirty air of a car. You're too close in a high-speed corner.
Pollicina's back in the game here. This is now a three-way fight. Do not rule out Jim Pollicina in the 7. We've got 4 minutes to go. What an unbelievable fight from Enzo Cheng. Even if he loses this race, he has put up a stellar fight in this one. He keeps it in the middle. Again, down into turn 4, into Miller corner, channeling a bit of Jack Miller. Thank you very much. And retains the race lead.
Antoine really working that rear tyre hard. Last lap here as well, we saw him lay 2 big black lines on the exit of the corner. They do have this traction control they can play with. You can see again, really on the limit of that traction control there with the rear of the car moving around. He's definitely hurt his tyres to get to where he is now. And this is when he needs them in his corner the most. With a couple of laps remaining, and he's still got to get past a guy who's really carrying great pace in Enzo.
I cannot believe the sound of the walls in our commentary box here. You can really feel the wind. So it must be enormously tricky for these drivers. They go through, you can see from on high there, through MG corner. 3.5 minutes remain. He's clinging to it, Cheng. It's a great drive. Gets a little bit of breathing space out of there again. Maybe pulls half a car length. Gatani stays out of it to not get in that dirty air that Renato Liberto was just talking about. Down the Gardner Straight they come once again.
This is where that slipstream really starts to take into effect as they climb over that sort of 220 km an hour.
Side by side, 220 kilometres an hour, and Gatani will get it done. He finally gets it done.
That was a big, big move there. But let's see if Enzo can tap back onto the back of Anton before he pulls that gap. That was a huge move to turn 1. I think I held my breath for about 5 seconds then.
Big commitment from Enzo Gatani. He hopped out of the slipstream and then committed and went with it. And he's away there now. So Enzo now trying to fend off Jim Pollicina for second place. We haven't really focused on much of the results behind here. Just quickly, Trewern holds down 4th. Jared Ferrari in the 488 is still in 5th outright. Good performance. Cam Campbell has recovered to be 6th with a question mark over whatever obviously happened earlier in the race.
And that's obviously, he's now split that pairing, we're saying, with Jared Ferrari, Micho Stefan in that 488 division. He's split them at the moment working through. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out for them in their own little class race that's going on in 5th and 7th outright.
Enzo hurls the Ferrari. He goes too deep. Pollicina grabs it. He was endeavouring to keep some space, I think, just over Pollicina as he came into MG corner in the hope that he'd be able to square the corner and just ensure that Jim couldn't sneak by, but it didn't work out. I think he went a fraction deep in there.
No, and as you said, Jim's an experienced guy. He's just sitting there waiting to kind of take the easy pass, I guess, when he can, without having to work the car too hard for it. As soon as he's pulled the gap here, Antoine, he's running purple sectors now, middle sector. He's really sort of setting on and building a buffer. We're running a 30-minute plus 1 lap race here, so we've got 2 laps remaining effectively at this point. If I was Antoine, I would be pulling back, just easing the gap that I've got there and working with it, not taking any risks. But Antoine, we proved this at Bathurst, fastest lap after fastest lap in the race. We should tell him the rules are you only get the 1 point once. It's not for every time you get fastest lap. You only get it once for the race. But he's really putting his stamp of authority on this purple sector in sector 1 now in this current lap.
Can we just say too that I know it looks like ending with a third place finish, but arguably drive of the day, Enzo Cheng, to hold on that long, copper shell driver. He's going to end up in third outright, it would seem, anyway. That has been that he's absolutely showed you guys and the field here what he is capable of today.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I mean, he seemed very calm on the grid interview as well, but just drove a fantastic race, and I'm certain that he's already learned a huge amount from this race. Just having to sort of hold up and battle those guys in that position. I think he'll go a lot stronger into round 3 at Sydney Motorsport Park in a few weeks' time.
You talk about how they grow as racers under that tutelage and with the framework of the various Ferrari dealers that are involved here and their staff and some of the team from Ferrari that come from overseas to be a part of this. There's this great nucleus of people that they can draw from, right? And I think you're spot on. He'll have grown from this race today. We're into the 29s for Antoine Gatani, rather. I mean, he is not mucking around there. 1 minute 29.681. New fastest lap of the race, if you don't mind, now that he is in the lead. Bit going on further afield as we continue to see the 22 just making his way through some of the lap competitors, I think, down into Miller Corner once again.
That's Nigel Hunt in car 109, one of our Ferrari Richmond dealer customers. But first run this weekend with Ferrari Challenge, but he is a guy from Melbourne, so he knows the track and he's on that learning journey with Ferrari Challenge, which is great to see.
Just need to confirm, I think Gatani might have crossed the line before we timed out, as it well, for the race. So in theory, he should get the last lap board this time by. So we don't think this is the last lap. It's the second last, we believe, from Motorsport Australia Race Control. So it's Gatani from Pollicina, Enzo Cheng leading Copper Shell and third outright, and the 488 class being led by Jared Ferrari in 5th place at the moment. So here's our race leader. Sectors don't seem to suggest that he'll better the last lap and go even quicker. We'll see what the final lap brings. Should be getting the last lap board to go this time by.
A lot less curb being used now as well on the exit there. So he's definitely got a healthy margin, and hopefully he brings it home cleanly on this final lap here. But a great effort still. Remember, he did start from rear of grid in pit lane, basically. So a fantastic recovery by Antoine.
Inaugural Club Challenge champion back in 2022. Started with advanced driver training, really, didn't he? And came through track days, a bit of sim racing as well. But, you know, for someone with a now very limited door-to-door racing, he has come on in leaps and bounds in this championship.
Yeah, it's been great to see him grow across the course of the Club Challenge program and in Ferrari Challenge as well. And it really is a testament to not just his own talent, but the team that is built around. As you said, we've got the dealer team supporting him. We've got a fantastic team of mechanics and engineers from Italy, and also the local engineering and coaching team to sort of provide that tutelage along the way.
You've excelled yourself with the commentary too, so thank you for being with us this weekend, Renato. So yeah, some great insights into the cars technically, what they're capable of, and certainly those that are having this wonderful opportunity to drive them. Antoine Gatani with a lead of 5.4 seconds at the last timing split, and it could be even bigger than that by the time he gets to the line. What a weekend it has been, and even with the challenge of starting from the pit lane, just like at Mount Panorama Bathurst, he will walk away with a superb weekend in round 2 of Ferrari Challenge Australasia. Antoine Gatani wins the second race of the weekend. 2 starts, 2 wins.
Yeah, that was a textbook drive, wasn't it? He did a really, really thorough job there working through. Jim Pollicina, fantastic effort there coming in P2. And my drive of the weekend, Enzo Cheng. That was 100%. A fantastic effort there in race 3.
He should be very, very proud with that that effort, and well done to Ben Porter too on guiding those 3 very different races and the way that they're wired, they're programmed, and what they do in their daily lives. And he's been able to help them all move in the the right place in this race. So congratulations to Antoine Gatani, who I'm not sure is actually slowing down just yet on what's meant to be a cool-down lap. So it's Gatani from Pollicina. Cheng takes out Copper Shell and the 488 class. Jared Ferrari, who in the end holds on to 5th place outright. That's a good showing here on Sunday afternoon at the Island. There's the final race results for you. Arguably drive of the day for Enzo Cheng, who wins the Copper Shell category, but from the pit lane, Antoine Gatani does it once again. Cam Campbell recovers from some sort of incident on the opening lap. Our early race leader would ultimately get back into 5th place. Tony Bowden rounds out the field with a car that was repaired for today's race. Some good work going on behind the scenes there to ensure that the 111 was able to contest this race. So fastest lap of the race too, going Gatani's way with a 1 minute 29.68. Highlights for you, final one of the weekend in Ferrari Challenge. And the field was led away by Cam Campbell with the Copper Shell driver Enzo Cheng beside him, and that is because the race 1 winner Antoine Gatani had changed tyres after a spin in qualifying and had to start from the pit lane. From there, he would commence this process of gradually edging his way through the field.
But Enzo just got clean air and just took off, didn't he? He had a really good margin, which meant these other couple of battles played out. You know, Jared Fro running as high as P3 there is an awesome effort in the 488 car.
Sure was. We weren't quite clear on what happened to Cam Campbell. He dropped away from the early race lead, possibly with a spin. It ensured that Enzo Cheng not only led in Copper Shell, but led in outright terms. And he did a superb job to keep the car there for more than 3/4 of the race, even under the immense pressure of Jim Pollicina. And then even when Antoine Gatani arrived on the scene, it didn't matter the pace that those 2 front-running pros had. He did a brilliant performance to make them work for it. It wasn't easy.
And those 2 MC Corsa cars with the green and yellow liveries, it looks like they're hunting him down, don't they? They're splitting either side, looking for an opportunity. But then this move into turn 1, as you said, 280k an hour approach, 220 k's an hour on the apex there. Great respect between each of the drivers, but also a fantastic move to get Antoine into the lead.
Huge commitment from Gatani. The car danced at 1. He tried so hard, Enzo Cheng, to hold on to that 2nd place, but maybe that fraction deeper at MG was all it took for Pollicina to get by. The race win for the 2nd time over the weekend, going to Antoine Gatani. Oh man, we had been treated here, and the best news is we still have some more racing to come your way. Cars are making their way into Parc Fermé now. We'll endeavour to catch up with some of the competitors, but still lots to come your way here on Sunday afternoon as far as our Speed Series coverage is concerned.
You can see the waves and you can feel them in the commentary box here as well, Rusty. That wind is still gusting pretty heavily. It's going to be interesting for the GT3 cars coming up soon as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Can Ferrari do it there? They were in very good form yesterday with Elliott Shute and Jackson Evans for Arise Racing, but obviously under the rules of GT3, they'll revisit things overnight, and we'll see what the time penalty is for the pit stops in that race a little later. In the meantime, let's go to the lane.
Thanks, Rusty. I'm down here with our Trofeo Pirelli 488 class winner. So congratulations, Jared. Yesterday you finished 2nd. Today you took the spoils, but tell me, what was the first few laps like out there?
Pretty exciting. Luckily got through turn 1 and 2 pretty cleanly, managed to pass a couple of cars, and then I think it all happened up just before Licky Heights, a bit of action. So managed to get through there cleanly as well, and try and latch onto the tail of a few of the faster 296s. So it was, and then try and settle in and follow them as much as we could.
Now, was it just a case of trying to bide your time and just keep it clean, see what the guys in front of you were doing and try and capitalise on any sort of mistakes?
Yeah, basically. I knew the guys in front ultimately had a bit more pace, so it was, yeah, just trying to sit behind. If they got caught up fighting with each other, then try and take advantage. But looked like they were all pretty clean for the rest of it. You know, caught up behind David in the end, but had a little moment on the grass. But just before the end, so caught up a bit.
Oh, well, congratulations, winner chicken dinner.
Thank you.
So nice work. Now we're going to head down to our Copper Shell class winner, Enzo Cheng. Enzo, congratulations. I tell you what, that was an amazing drive. You nearly held on to the end there for the outright win. How's the heart rate?
Pretty high. I mean, like, I wish these races were about 10 minutes shorter and I would have come away with the overall win. But it is what it is. Antoine and Jim, amazing race pace, so it's, hard to keep them behind.
How was the battle through turn 1 side by side there?
Pretty, had my heart in my mouth for a second. Exciting stuff.
Well, congratulations, both victories this weekend, and we look forward to seeing you at the next round, so well done. Now we're going to head down to the man, the winner overall. Congratulations. You started from pit lane, Antoine. How did you do that?
I'll tell you what, I thought I was chasing first when I was still in first. So I was chasing myself, really. But yeah, it was tough.
So not only that, you got to the lead and then you broke your own lap record.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that too.
Well, congratulations. Nice work. Clean car, maximum points. And that's all from down here, guys.
Well done, Thomas Randall on fire there at the moment in victory lane for Ferrari Challenge Australasia. That's a wrap on round 2 for those competitors. It has been superb having them with us here at Phillip Island, but you know what? There's still lots more to come in our coverage of the Shannon Speed Series live from the island. Stick around.